Welcome, everybody, to our YouTube review version of the NERDSMASH TALKCAST. And I am one of your hosts, LT Thornton, and I'm joined by my always reliable co-host, Mr. Steve Woods. What's up, Steve?
What's up, y'all? What's up, man?
Hey, nothing.
You ready to do this thing?
Ready to do this thing. This is our YouTube spoiler review for Marvel's What If series on Disney Plus. So go ahead and strap in. Like I said, this is a spoiler-filled review that we are going to get into here. So just wanted to give you guys the heads up. If you have not caught up on all of the episodes of What If, we will be covering each one individually. So, Steve, this show, man.
This show. Man, I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And now that it's wrapped up, I know that I really wasn't ready.
Oh, yeah.
It was a fun ride, though.
It was definitely a fun ride. I would say this is more of a roller coaster than any of the other shows because of how each episode is so much wildly different apart from each other, right?
And not just apart from each other, but just from what we know from the Marvel Universe for the last, 13 years.
Yeah.
Just completely different.
Yeah. Some things really, kind of nailed it on the tonal aspect that we're going for. In my opinion, some didn't. But, that's the fun of the show, right? Like, it's able to play with so many different things, and it's not constrained to one specific thing.
Yeah. I completely agree with that.
Also,
and it's not, and it shows that.
Yeah.
It does that over and over again.
Oh yeah. Also wasn't sure about, like, I thought the animation looked kind of crisp, but, I wasn't sure about some of the CGI elements to it or the half CGI element to it. I just gotta say, I became a big fan very early on in this show. Probably after the first episode, when I saw how it handled action, I was like, okay.
Well, I think that a lot of people, including myself, felt that exact same way.
Yeah.
Because I was not ready for what Captain Carter is.
Let's just go ahead and dive into it.
Let's just jump in.
Okay. So
I got your list of episodes right here.
Okay.
You can kind of run through them like that.
Yeah.
So the very first episode, what if Captain Carter were the first Avenger?
Yes.
Holy smokes.
Yes. So they almost somehow managed to sum up the entirety of the Captain America, the First Avenger, in a 30-minute episode of animation. Right. So kudos for that. Man, I was always a big fan of Peggy in these films. I watched Agent Carter. She was probably my second favorite character in the First Avenger. And giving Haley Atwell the time to come in and shine on this. First of all, Captain Carter is built like just a brick house. She is.
And then she uses it.
Oh, yeah. That's a big woman. And she will certainly, absolutely tank you.
And they were not shy.
Oh, no.
They really set the tone with her to the point where I'm sitting jaw hanging.
Right.
Because this wrecking ball is smashing people for 30 minutes.
And I'm sitting here talking about it with other people, and they're like, man, Peggy is a lot more brutal than Steve. And I was like, but that's canon, right? Remember in the First Avenger when she was just in the street with that cold dead eye shot?
Right.
Like,
ooh.
Unflinching. Steve had to move her because she was finna take a car to the knees to shoot that dude in the face. There was no hesitation.
Man, I didn't even think about that.
Or when she punched that that soldier in the face because he was talking sass to her, and she literally floored the dude. Now put her on a 6 foot, 300-pound frame,
and fast.
Oh gosh.
They've showcased Steve's speed a couple times.
Yes.
Throughout the MCU.
Yes.
I don't feel like they did it like this.
Nah. Well, if you think about it, Peggy was capable before this, right? Like they added, a linebacker to to Peggy Carter's frame, and it just improved it. Like with Captain America, they added that same frame to a dude that had nothing to work with before that. So he was just
True.
Hey man, I'm just kind of digging being around and being tall and being muscles. And she was just like, I have this. I know what to do with it.
Right. They still kept Steve true.
Oh yeah. And credit, I knew Chris Evans was not a voice actor in this show, but dang that this dude sounds just like Chris Evans. And it was Josh Keaton, who's also the voice of like the Spectacular Spider-Man and like Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern CGI series.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I knew it was Spider-Man,
yeah.
But yeah. That's cool.
He did a great job. I was like, wow. That was actually one of my favorite things after going through all the episodes, like seeing what voices came back and what ones didn't. So I could know where to credit. Like Mick Wingert was the guy that did the voices for Tony Stark. I thought he nailed Robert Downey Jr. More than anybody else that I've heard. So big kudos to him. But yeah, going back to Captain Carter, man. Jeez, like
she was shot out of a cannon in every scene.
Yeah.
The Hydra Stomper is really cool too.
Oh yeah. I love that how they incorporated that and kind of changed the timeline a little bit just to kind of put the Tesseract in a different place. I was kind of confused if things would play out the same way. Like, would Hydra still have been such a big influence if they had, didn't have the Tesseract and all this other stuff? But it was definitely cool to get that kind of alternate, and instead they decide to summon some interdimensional being, which I hope was I hope that was Shumagorath. That would be really cool if that was Shumagorath, but I didn't see any eyes, so I won't credit it as Shumagorath yet. Just cool.
Yeah.
An airplane scene.
Red Skull's dead in this universe.
Oh yeah.
So
the airplane scene where she's flying around, just
oh my gosh.
So here's the crazy thing. I know a lot of people didn't like this first episode. They just
how? I don't understand.
Some people didn't like the pacing of it, or I don't know. I mean, maybe it's hard for me to look past it because in this instance, I'm such I'm such a Captain America fan, and I'm such a big fan of First Avenger that I was loving it. And I mean, I think that's a common theme. I think across episodes, there were episodes that people loved that I didn't like so much, and there were episodes that people hated that I just loved to death. So it's a little different for me. It's a little weird in that respect.
Yeah. Well, speaking of weird, episode 2.
Yes.
What if T'Challa becomes a Star-Lord?
Yes. This might have been my favorite episode.
Oh man. Okay. Just because of how bizarre everything was and how far they took the what if.
So
that was kind of my favorite thing about it.
A lot of people said it undercut everything, and there's this running thing about, man, why is the Marvel Cinematic Universe going out of its way to show that Peter Quill is a piece of garbage? But I don't think it's about that. I think T'Challa has a different temperament and personality. You put him in the same situation, and man, right? Like, it's going to be wildly different because he's so much more capable. He's almost like a James Bond. If you made James Bond Star-Lord, you're probably gonna have...
You're gonna get the James Bond personality.
Right.
Yeah. You're not gonna get Peter Quill's.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I thought it was really cool. I loved how they played with the whole Guardians kind of concept. My favorite thing. Well, I had two favorite things. One of my favorite thing was just how what's his name? Korath? I think it was Korath, was such a huge fanboy of Star-Lord. He was like, "Oh my God,
Oh, right.
Star-Lord, you are so cool!" And he's like, "Yeah, okay, calm down, bro." I thought that was so funny.
Yes, you're talking about what's the guy's name? The
Jimon
actor.
Hanso.
Yeah, Jimon Hansu. Yeah. Yes, very cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
And how he didn't know Peter Quill was Star-Lord.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Well,
Complete opposite for T'Challa.
Great
Yeah.
parallel way to kind of they set up the scene in the exact same way, but just like, nailed it, right? And then the other parallel was obviously the kind of big twist thing in the middle of the episode. Star-Lord or T'Challa Star-Lord just had a conversation with Thanos. Hey,
completely changed his mind.
Right.
And I had him see a different point of view.
I know this upset a lot of people because they were just like, well, way to undercut Thanos so early. But I listened to this guy on YouTube talk about it, and he was like, Thanos' philosophy, you could see in Infinity War and in Endgame that he was constantly bringing it up, right? And anytime he was questioned on it, he's willing to sit there and chat, right?
Yeah,
he had that conversation with Gamora. He had the conversation with Doctor Strange. He
somewhat Tony Stark.
Yeah, somewhat to a degree. Yeah. And when he rolled up on Wanda, he was just it's not like he was rushing to get there. And he had the time stone, but he was just like, hey, let's. I wish I didn't have to do this. This sucks. Yeah, to be honest, but it's what I got to do. And T'Challa just convinced him. I just thought that was awesome. Oh, man.
Yeah, great stuff. How about episode 3? What if the world lost its mightiest heroes?
This was an interesting one for me. And I know some people loved it just because it played with kind of all of the Phase 1 movies in such an interesting way. Yeah. But, I wasn't sure. I felt like there was some information that was left out. Because obviously we didn't know coming into it that in this universe, Hope was recruited to the Avengers, right? And it was Hank behind everything. That's interesting, right? But I feel like there was a beat that was missed. Like, what happened to Hope? Did she fall into the quantum realm like the original Wasp did? Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's a million different things that you could have kind of gone to flashback and show kind of a little more of what she was doing or something.
Yeah.
But it was definitely fun.
This for me was one of the more forgettable episodes where I kind of like, oh, that's a cool concept, but I don't know.
Yeah. I kind of feel that. It also was kind of weird just seeing some of these Avengers get, I don't want to say they were chumped out because, obviously, but it's like,
what if Clint Barton did shoot Thor and kill him?
Yeah, right.
Right then.
Right.
Like what
if... Right.
The powerless Thor who would have just died.
Right. And it's also weird because it was like, how did, he couldn't tell that he didn't let go. I mean, that one was a little iffy to me. It's like, I don't know. Yeah. I didn't shoot the shot. It was like,
was it a little what iffy? All right. All right.
Boo. But yeah, I feel you with that. And, it was one of those ones where they kind of left you on a cliffhanger about what was happening with the universe. And you got to see a little more of it later in the finale, but, still, it was like, this is kind of some big changes. And then how is the universe real from this later? Like, I don't know. Anyway.
So, episode 4.
Yes.
Oh. What if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands?
Woo! Yeah, I will. This was definitely one of the heavier episodes.
Yeah, man.
Did not play around with the tone at all. Like, went for what it was going for. And you could tell it was a favorite of a lot of different people involved with this project. They even said so. I think it got kudos from the original director of Doctor Strange, Scott Derrickson, is like, yeah, this is good. This is real good.
Yeah, it really was. Dare I say, better than the first Doctor Strange movie.
Could have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know there were some complaints that why did Christine mean so much in this universe? When she really doesn't seem like she means that much. Like, she means a lot to Stephen Strange, but like, she wasn't his motivation for anything in the original movies.
In the MCU, right.
But even again, I'd have to say, hey, this is different universe. This Christine obviously is more significant. And I think it's just overall the guilt of him feeling like he got her killed. And then it also being mentioned as a Nexus event. But then I also don't know.
And then not being able to fix it at all.
Yeah.
Like, sure, she dies, right?
Yeah.
But then not being able to go back when you have the power to go back and fix it, and you can't.
Right. This episode,
no matter what.
This episode brought up some questions for me, too, because there was stuff with the Ancient One being able to split the timeline. And, like, how is she able to do that when we also heard back in Endgame that there's one sacred timeline and you can't really split it? How did she do the duality, Doctor Strange's, and then somehow merge it back together? That's weird. And maybe kind of breaks its own canon in a way. And what if is dangerous in that sense, because you start playing with the multiverse, and there's something I want to come back to in the finale episode, but you start playing with the multiverse, you start getting into a lot of different stuff happening.
Yeah.
And,
we saw some really cool stuff with Doctor Strange in the Dark Dimension.
Yes.
And we saw him become
Dark
Strange Supreme.
Dark Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Evil Doctor Strange. Yeah.
It was very cool. Yeah. Very cool episode.
I loved his cape.
It kind of, yes. I know. It kind of played out, like there was a movie out last year where the main protagonist of the movie just kept dying, trying to get to the street and get back to his home, which is kind of the same thing here. Like, no matter what he did, kept dying.
Yeah.
That video game 12 Minutes, same thing.
Yeah.
Really cool to see it play out like this.
Yeah, yeah. And again, one of the darker ones, bold of Marvel to go for it. So I thought it was really cool. And I liked how it ended, where you kind of knew he was coming back, because he was just this, he basically he trapped himself in his own little pocket universe to kind of.
And he could see the Watcher.
Yeah. He got.
Which is the first time we noticed that could happen.
Right.
And the first time the Watcher found out that could happen.
Also, shout out to Jeffrey Wright as the Watcher. I think he was pretty solid throughout the series.
Yes.
Especially, again, when we get to like some of the later episodes when he had to get a little more involved. But solid Uatu, I think. All right, what's the next episode?
So episode 6, What If Killmonger rescued Tony Stark?
No, there was something before that.
Was there one before that? Oh, yeah. Well, what if zombies?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, man.
This one was weird, I think, because I thought
it was going to be my favorite.
I also thought it was going to be my favorite. However, I think this is one where they went a little too far with some of the jokes. Like,
where they could have kept a more serious tone instead of,
like, they're talking about some of their closest friends and allies dying, and they're kind of quipping about it. Like, there was one line in particular that I think kind of stuck with me when Sharon was turned into a zombie, and Janet had to, like, blow up the Sharon zombie, and she blew up, and she was, like, covered in, like, zombie gunk, and she was like, I'm covered in Sharon. And you're like, you guys were literally talking like best friends a little while ago. I need you to
a little weird.
Lean a little more into Walking Dead here. And then Scott Lang as the kind of talking head there. And
I like that.
it was funny. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
it was just
I like that. It's just weird, right?
the thing that I liked about this episode is what they honored from the comics.
They actually did it.
The T'Challa having his leg chopped off and he was slowly being fed. In the comics, it was Hank Pym that was slowly feeding T'Challa to Janet Van Dyne. And here they supplement it with Vision and Wanda. And zombie Wanda is a problem.
Right, it is a problem, as we will touch on soon.
Yeah. Dang.
That was probably the coolest thing from this episode.
Oh yeah,
for me, that was very cool.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
So then, like I said before, what if Killmonger rescued Tony Stark? And then subsequently killed him.
There's a running theme in this show about Tony Stark getting killed or chumped out, and he kind of earned it. But no. This was again one of the better episodes. This did some really, really cool stuff with the genre, really showing the alternate side of things. Killmonger and Tony Stark kind of bonding, but Killmonger very obviously like playing him. The stuff where they went to Claw's shipyard to get the vibranium.
Oh my gosh.
And then him like killing both Rhodey and T'Challa. I was like, dang, man, this is cold. And then the way he manipulated the Wakandans.
But for Eric Stevens, that was perfect.
Oh man, it was so good. It was so good. You could tell, you were just like, man, this guy is really, really skilled at not only toppling regimes, but also manipulating soldiers,
gaining trust,
governments, gaining trust. Yeah. Getting in at the right spots. And it's just kind of crazy. I loved what they did in this episode. It was really well done. Also seeing Queen Mother as the early Dora Milaje.
Oh, we got a Dora Milaje fight in this.
Yeah.
That was insane.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
If you didn't know about Angela Bassett in the Queen Mother,
was it her voice in this one?
You know, I don't know. I didn't check that out.
Yeah. Either way, it was a great
just
episode.
So perfect.
Great episode.
That whole battle at the end, magnificent. Magnificent.
Super fantastic. Then what do we have next?
What if Thor were an only child?
This was the episode that I think I hated.
Yeah?
I was definitely not a fan of this episode. Not because it was going for comedy. I didn't like the fact that Thor was being treated like a Ferris Bueller movie. Like,
okay,
the cleaning up the planet thing.
That's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep. I didn't even think about that.
The cleaning up the planet thing before his mom came and he's schooling those other characters on, like,
those other Asgardians.
That was so. It was. I didn't
even think about it being Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It 100% is.
It was too far corny. It was too far goofy, and I'm glad that it's a separate universe. It was too much. I remember I was just like,
this episode did allow us to see a lot of second and third tier characters all in one.
Right, but they were there for the sake of having background characters. They weren't anything significant to the story itself. I did like the touch that they had Loki show up and he was the frost giant because he was always raised there, because the whole what if was really, what if Loki wasn't stolen by Odin and they were raised. So everyone's lives continues to be better without Odin in it, basically. Odin's the worst.
Yes. Odin goes to sleep and the realms party.
Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, it was just I did not like this one. Did not like that one. I did like Grandmaster saying, and now we take our scoots. That was good. That was good.
So, episode 8, What If Ultron won?
Yeah. That was another cool episode. Really showing the devastation that Ultron could have wrecked. Like,
yeah.
Basically, the real what if is what if Jarvis couldn't stop him from getting them nuke codes? Because guess what? It is a wrap if Jarvis does not stop.
And because he launched every single nuke the planet had.
Yeah. And then he got that vision body. He became basically perfect. The one thing I didn't like about this episode was how quickly he chumped out Thanos. I thought that could have been...
that was great. I love that about this episode. Like, no, you're done. On sight.
Yeah, but I think it made Thanos...
questions.
I think it made Thanos look a little foolish because, Thanos is walking into anywhere with his guard up. He's not just sitting there like, hey, what's happening? I'm about to wreck you. And then just getting cut in half like that. Like, I expected to see the reality just kind of shimmer. And he'd be like, you thought you could do this like I was some piece of garbage. Let me show you that I am a problem. But yeah, super cool. The fight with the Watcher I thought was dope.
Yeah, well, I also like Zola being in this one.
Yeah,
it kind of plays later, but that was cool.
I don't know if Zola is quite the AI to combat Ultron, but they had to find something because the world literally ended, and then he started ending the universe, and I was like, yeah, Ultron with Infinity Stones is a problem.
About this episode. I have questions.
Yeah, like what?
Like, do those Infinity Stones work in every universe now?
That's a big, because they shouldn't, right? That was
That's something my son pointed out as we were watching it, and I'm like, bruh.
Yeah.
Is that how that works?
They really shouldn't, but someone brought up a good point to me in that maybe in the Marvel Cinematic...
You've heard this too?
I definitely heard this. Yeah. And maybe in the Marvel Cinematic Universes, Infinity Stones can work across universes, but not across different times. Because the point of the TVA and all that stuff was, they weren't working in that TVA zone because it's almost outside of everything, right?
Okay.
And, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I guess they'd almost have to a little bit. Because how would the Avengers get them to work if they were used in their universe almost? I don't even know if it was their universe at this point. It's weird. We're talking about time travel, and there's a lot to try to hang on to there.
Yeah. So, the finale.
Yep.
What if the Watcher broke his oath?
Right. This was the Watcher and Doctor Strange basically straight up assembling the main characters from each team, including Gamora from an episode. I remembered What If was supposed to be 10 episodes, and we got 9, and that was because one episode had to get pushed to next year because of COVID.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Huh.
And I saw somebody that did a breakdown of what it should have been, and I think I know the what if. And the what if is at the end of the first Avengers, when Steve Rogers tells them to close the hole. What if he closes it a little bit too early and Tony Stark does not make it back through the portal?
Oh.
Then he drifts and lands on Sakaar. And then he builds an armor and becomes the Grand Master's champion.
Yeah.
And eventually teams with Gamora to stop Thanos
and that's
or whatever.
Kind of what it hinted on
in
this episode when we saw Tony Stark.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how the Watcher was like, "Not you, Stark." I was like,
Yeah. That made everyone happy, I think. Yeah,
Perfect.
he had very little to do in this series, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Well,
It's kind of cool.
him and Cap did, really. I mean, Cap was involved in the first episode, but as a side player. But I liked how they gathered, Captain Carter, Star-Lord T'Challa, Killmonger for some reason. I was like, I don't know.
That's a mistake.
Yeah, right. But nope, it was all part of the plan. I will say, you had a lot of people probably either really angry or really nervous to see somebody like Killmonger with Infinity Stones.
Yes. Yes.
He had that line, "You know what this could do for our people?" I was like,
That's exactly what I told Jay. I was like, you know what? He's gonna get those Infinity Stones because he was plotting as soon as he it's going down.
As soon as he saw Ultron head, he was like, "Huh, I can do something with this." Also, going back to his episode, I like that he's a fan of Gundam.
Yes,
that's just cool. He's an anime nerd still. But yeah, I thought it was a solid finale. It wrapped everything up. The creators have already said that the rest of the seasons that they do of this won't have like all the what ifs wrapping up like this. They'll be more self-contained. This
like an anthology.
Yeah. Which I think works best for this series. I don't think you need to wrap it up. Just hit us with a banger of an episode at the end of the season, like that episode 4, Doctor Strange. Get us in the feels, make us be like, "Ooh, this is a devastating one." So I want more.
We even got a mid-credit scene.
We did.
Out of this one,
we did. Let me think. Was that the Hydra Stomper Steve one?
It was.
Yeah. I want Big Woman, Haley Atwell, Captain Carter to be live action now, because I want to see what the Big Woman does. All I could think of was Game of Thrones. Is the Big Woman here?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I hate that we can't get it, but it would be very cool.
Yeah. What would you give this series overall?
Oh, it's definitely good. On our scale, that goes from Mudbutt, which it was definitely not.
Nope.
To 720p, which is watchable.
Better than bad.
To better than bad. To Bokeem Woodbine. I'll just throw that one out there. You like that one?
Bokeem Woodbine, Kristen Stewart, Liam Hemsworth, or Cuba Gooding Jr. It's okay.
Cuba...
They're fine.
It's all right.
They're fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
And then we have our Demolition Man at good.
Good.
And then topping that off is a video game windscreen. For me, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Solid Demolition Man for me, too. I thought it was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
what was your favorite?
Oh, like I said.
That Doctor Strange?
No, Star-Lord T'Challa.
Oh, Star-Lord T'Challa.
It had everything for me.
Doctor Strange?
It even had the emotional impact with the Chadwick Boseman stuff at the end. And the kind of in memoriam to him. I just thought it was great. I loved that it was kind of a heist as well. It was just cool. I think
it was
It
cool.
was a good episode.
I also really liked the scene with the Wakandans fighting those robots. That was very cool to me too.
I also liked. I didn't like the episode, but I liked the fight scene between Party Thor and Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah, that just went on and on. That gave me Invincible vibes. That was a
Super Saiyan Dragon Ball Z fight across the planet.
It was very cool.
Yeah.
It was very cool.
So
great. Demolition Man for me, Demolition Man for you.
That's right. So guys, that has been our spoiler review. Please make sure you listen to our show. You can find us on all of the major platforms, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, etc. So just search for us on there if you want to hear the full show. And we appreciate you guys, and have a good night.
Holla.